just you get to choose. Right? Like here's the scenario. The environment gives us something which can be perceived as negative, can be perceived as not working, can be perceived as problematic. The world's ending. So we get to choose to see it like that, or we get to choose to see it as an opportunity.
So clearly that it's my responsibility now to do that for other people. If I have information and other people's success is my success, and vice versa.
Because you know what, like the challenges or the roadblocks are the journey themselves.
There's no big things. It's all little things compounding on top of each other. You're in for an interesting episode as Coach Nick Davies joins me on a special edition of Truth Seekers Coach's Corner. Yes, we say special edition as we set the stage for our conversation, but we talk about the value and the importance of setting the stage and what that could mean in alignment with creating an environment that we perform in, that we act in, that we get results in. And the conversation takes an interesting leap or turn, talking about our ability to create and be intentional about what we're creating and how more accurate we become as we go on in time. All this and more on a special edition of Truth Seekers Coach's Corner with Nick Davies and Josh Greco. We would like to welcome you to another special edition of Truth Seekers Coach's Corner with Nick Davies. I'm Josh Greco. What's up, Coach?
Extra special.
We set that standard and we're rolling with it. We're maintaining that standard because I prefer to think of it like that. Our special time to record a conversation that we'll be sharing with others because we know it's going to be valuable in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I mean, you set the stage and you tend to walk up to it, right? The state, a physical stage is set. It looks really cool. It's like, oh, come up to it, right? Like, okay, we'll go up there rather than sitting on the sidelines and just having an idle chat. Like, just go up on stage.
You know what, that reminds me of, I either saw like a newspaper article or I saw this online within the last 24 hours. Talked about this world famous, like a violin player. He played some sort of musical instrument and he played for, they said something like 8 hours on the subway or in the subway. And he got like $24 or something like that. The next night he performed for like royalty or whatever. Like he wasn't known in the subway for who he was. Okay, so he just made $24 because he was unknown, but he was really good, right? So he played for royalty the next night and it was like $5,000 a plate or something like that. So this notion of like the stage, there's something about that, right? There's something about the environment. And if you have the power to create that, like we just did with, this is a special edition, then we're going to show up in a special way.
Yeah, and it's like, it talks to the frame of it as well, right? Because people expect what you tell them to expect. And I love this thought process because this, I think, is what completely dissipates people feeling like, or can dissipate people feeling like they're imposters. Right? Oh, how do I what do I need to do to get to play? Like how much better must that person be there playing in front of royalty versus playing in the subway? Mm-hmm. Is it a question of capability or is it a question of access? Mm. It's how much better are they, or is it just the fact that they're there? Like I always say, it's not how good you can play the game, it's how good you are at getting to see the table. I think there's probably, for any given area of life, whether that's an artistic pursuit or something, any sort of any other industry, I bet there's a whole bunch of people could do that just the same as that a person that's doing it. It's just that they're not. They didn't get that's why I like the equation to Hollywood, getting your big break. For me, I take that to be as like, there's so many people going, trying to get their big break, and they're equally as talented, equally as good. It's just to get an alignment of like opportunity and right person, right time. And once they're in, it's a big break because they have the same level of capability, talent of someone else that's not got a big break. But once they're in, the machine then takes them, because then they start to get the same experiences that everyone else has got the big break. And like now you can't, you're already too invested. That person already has all the experience, right? Now like there's no going back. even if there's someone outside that hasn't got a big break, that is more talented, the person that did get the break, that person that got the break is now gone because they've got now experience, which layers on top. And therefore, they've got an extra layers anyway. I love that.
They're now gone, meaning like they just take off exponentially after that, right? And it's like you can't even see them.
Like you're in. Like
that's taking them.
Yeah, like you can fall from grace for sure, but like once you're in, you got the experience. It's much like before I got into coaching, I was doing some consulting stuff at a bank, and I remember thinking like, this is a good gig. But it was the first time I did a consulting gig, and I was like, okay, well, it's a 2-year program here, but what's them to stop me saying like the program doesn't need to be here anymore and we don't need you anymore? And like, what if they, they could come and replace me? What I'm doing here isn't that difficult. But then I'd realized that after like every day, a week, a month that passed, it becomes exponentially more difficult to replace me. Because now I know about the project, now about the history of the project, now I have relationships with the people. It's like, could they bring someone else in to replace me? And could they learn all that stuff? And are they smart as me or smarter than me? It's like, yeah, probably. But it's also going to cost them 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months to do that. It's like, it outweighs it, right? It's like, I'm going to take the person that's got that experience because you know more. And when you know more, then you tend to do better anyway. And then so you get extra levels of, that's the stacking effect, that's the compound interest effect, that's the like delayed outcome as well, right? It's like that all comes together in a nice like little package.
Mm-hmm. It speaks to retention too, right? There's famous statistics out there about it's much more expensive to hire somebody new than to keep somebody, right? But it's how do you calculate the value of that? It's interesting to think about, but I want to maybe pivot a little bit because I like the other part of the conversation where once you're in, you're in. So it's the J curve, right? So you can think about that with what we're working on as coaches, but anybody who's listening or watching this with your business is, they say, people practice for years in private what they are famous for, what they're known for overnight in public, right? So you see the result, but it comes from years and years and years of practice and hard work. And it fascinates me, it intrigues me, and it excites me because like I'm building towards that and I can feel it building, but I'm still in the pursuit of it. And what I've learned myself is to just enjoy this part of it, because eventually once I am part of the population where it just takes off, then I'll never know what it feels like again to be where I was. Like this is temporary, it's just temporary. So might as well enjoy this part of it because there's something special about this too. There's a stage in this part of it too.
And if you zoom out, you could probably say that you're already there anyway. If you took a different yardstick back,
right?
So
I'm at the top of some other scale that was made in the past. Just depends how far back you go.
Right. Contrast, context, and scale. Like it depends how you look at it. Yeah, it's like if I'm my current journey, like I'm wherever you might be on that J curve, but if you look at it like a few years further out, like there's a bigger J curve behind it where you're at the top of.
Yeah. And so maybe that's where I want to start to wrap up our conversation. Just to think about this with like, the more that we achieve, the more that we accomplish, so too expands our capacity or our potential, right? Because there's always another. Whenever you're at the top of one J curve, you're also at the bottom of the next one. There's more there, but that's like impossible to see, right? Initially, like you can't see 3 J curves ahead.
That's too many curves in a way. Yeah, exactly. And then you look at it from a 3-dimensional point of view as well. When you get to the top of one, it's not just here's the next one. It's like, well, here's the choice of 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and that's also why it's important to be aligned with what you want to do long term. And I'm speaking from experience here with business development and sales experience. I hopped around every 4 years or so, and I'm just getting to that point to where it feels really good. But I saw the writing on the wall, and it's something I didn't want to be a part of long term. I could have pumped another 8 years into coaching or 8 years into another J curve that I was actually aligned with. Now, hopefully, coaching is that for me. It feels like it is. that I want to be here long term. We were just talking off camera, off mic about, we're projecting where we could go, what we could achieve in the future, and it's just interesting to think about. Like, just to keep extrapolating, keep going, because we can't possibly think about what opportunities are going to be on our plate 6 years from now, 4 years from now, 8 years from now, 10.
So easy to wipe away the future and go, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but it's more reliable than you think. That's why doing the numbers is like there's other things going to happen. Maybe it doesn't go exactly as you expect because we don't know. We can't look into the future. But if you actually look at the evidence from the past, most of the time you can predict most things with like fairly good accuracy. Like the big wild events, like you can't. But like on the long, again, just zoom out a little bit more. Like if you look at the stock market over the last few years, like obviously crazy volatility and it's not good stuff. But then if you look at it over a 10-year or 20-year period, like it tells a different story, right?
Interesting to think about. All right, so let's start to wrap up with how about not a takeaway, not value, but what does this get you thinking about? What are you going to leave today with after we shut down the cameras and the microphones? What do you want to maybe get more clarity with from what we've been talking about today?
I've been reminded of you're rewarded in public for what you practice in private, and I think the continuing to lean into, if you do not share with others what it is that you know, and twofold, if you don't share it, no one can get the value from it. And if you don't share it, you don't get more reps, which means you don't get better at it. Like you got to have a responsibility to do that stuff. Like should be part of your ethics code to be the best version of yourself, to be able to share the version of yourself, because you get better and other people can take stuff from you. So I want to think about that. What you got, Coach?
Yeah, and well, just to piggyback, so it's like the principle of giving to receive, right? So you're gaining more and growing more because you're giving it away.
Yeah,
because you're sharing it with other people. I think that's fascinating. Mine. You can probably tell the point in the episode where I got to thinking it was the J curve thing with like compounding J curves. So it's not even just compounding interest or compounding like little baby steps, like these big things over a longer period of time. I think our ability to create, we were talking about, like you can get good or better at predicting what's going to happen or what the trajectory is. I think we get more accurate with that as time goes on, and you become more of a participant in the creation of that more accurately or more thoroughly as you go. And I think that's been fascinating for me too over these past couple of years. I had an image that I maybe could be in this chair right now talking to you like from 2 years ago thinking about this, but I feel like I have much more clarity where I'm going to be 2 years from now, or even 4 years from now. And a couple of years ago, that would have been, I don't know, so much fog there, but the clarity or the capability of the creation or of the intentionality around what I'm creating, I feel much more powerful. I don't know. I want to use that word, much more powerful, much more capable of creating my future. And that's exciting. I want to think more about that.
Oh, man. The word that came to mind for me was robust. And like, if you're all clear about where you're going in 2 years and 4 years, it gives you the space to think about 10 years, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Coach,
you can take a leap.
Yeah, bookmark right there. We'll talk more about this sometime because this is fascinating. Thank you. See you next week.
Thank you for watching another episode of Truth Seekers. We appreciate your interaction, so please comment, like, subscribe to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want more, check out some of our links to our masterclass, The Achiever's Mindset, and come join our LinkedIn group. And what do you want to see more of? Remember, we're here to share the simple secrets of successful. So help us do that. What do you want to see? What do you want to see more of? Thanks, and see you again next time.